Hey guys, I'm excited to show you some live swatches from this New Orleans collection for spring and summer for 2016. There's 12 polishes in the collection. I have all 12. And I just wanted to let you know I'll have comparisons to these up on my blog tomorrow, so you might want to check that out so you can see how similar they are to other polishes you might have in your collection. A few of these didn't quite work out for me, but most of them did, and I'm pretty impressed with the formulas on most of these. So let's go ahead and get into the swatches. The first one is Humidity, and it's a nude polish with some shimmer in there. It's kind of a peachy brown, and it's actually kind of almost exactly the same as my skin tone. So we're just going to go ahead and do one coat of that. And it covers okay. It's definitely going to need another coat. So I'm going to go ahead and put on a second coat. And it pretty much covers up in 2 coats. You could probably do 3 if you did thin coats, but 2 thicker coats work. And that's 2 coats of Humidity. Next one is Take a Ride on Bourbon. It's a pearly off-white with actually a little bit of brown in there. And I'm going to do 1 coat of that on my nails. It's also got a little chrome in it, which makes it pretty streaky. These kind of polishes generally aren't my favorite, but it does have a little bit of glitter, so that helps a little bit. But that's 2 coats, and I think I actually went ahead and did 3 on this one. But that's 3 coats of Take a Ride on Bourbon. Next one is Let Me Buy You a Drink, and this is a very light pink polish with some pearl shimmer in it. And I'm going to apply 1 coat, and it's streaky, but I kind of expected that. With these lighter polishes, they can be a little streaky. But I definitely need a second coat, so I'm going to do the second coat. And it's still not quite opaque. I like it more. I'm definitely going to have to do 3. The formula is okay. I wish I only had to do 2, but sometimes if I like a color enough, 3 is okay with me. But I'm going to go and do 3. And that's 3 coats of Let Me Buy You a Drink. Next is I'm So Swamped, and this is a bright kind of yellow toned green. And I'm going to apply the first coat. And this formula is really nice. I actually love kind of the Crelly formula. That's definitely my favorite. Slightly runny, but not too runny. And that's 1 coat. It looks like it's definitely going to need a second coat, but it seems like it'll probably cover up pretty good with a second coat. So now here's the second coat. And yep, that covers up completely. I really do like this formula. These jelly Crelly polishes have such a nice finish. They're so shiny. And that's 2 coats of I'm So Swamped. Next up is Show Us Your Tips. It's kind of a periwinkle that leans a little more blue with some very strong shimmer in there, some silver shimmer. I'm going to apply 1 coat to all my nails. And it's pretty thin. I'm actually surprised it wasn't more opaque, but it's definitely going to need 2, possibly 3. So the second coat, it builds up a little more than I thought it would, but it's definitely going to need 3 coats. And it applies pretty smoothly and pretty even, but it's just not quite opaque. So this is the 3rd coat. And that's 3 coats of Show Us Your Tips. Next up is Rich Girls and Po Boys. It's not quite a sky blue, it's a little richer than that, but it's definitely bright. And so I'm going to apply 1 coat of that on my nails. And the formula is really great. It's a great cream polish, and it's a little thick. I have to kind of clean my brush off once in a while because it got a little too thick, but you just get used to that as you use it. It's a little thicker formula than the others. That's 1 coat. I'm going to need 2, and that's the second coat. And that's 2 coats of Rich Girls Po Boys. And now we have a manicure for beads. This is a pretty pink toned purple. It's quite unique actually. I really like this color. I'm going to do one coat, and it's definitely could be a one coater if you did it pretty thick. And the formula is pretty consistent with the last formula. It's very nice and creamy and goes on smooth. A little thick, but that's what makes it a one coater. And that's one coat. I always like to do two, especially for my photos, so I'm going to go ahead and do two, even though it's probably not necessary if you paint it pretty thick. And that's 2 coats of eye manicure for beads. And now we have Spare Me a French Quarter, and this is kind of a darker toned pink, which leans, it's a little more yellow toned than blue toned. So I'm going to go ahead and do one coat. And same thing, this could definitely be a one coater if you did it a little thicker. The formula is slightly thinner than the other two, which I kind of like. I think this formula is actually pretty perfect. But since I like to do a second coat, I'm going to do that right now. And that's 2 coats of Spare Me a French Quarter. And now we have She's a Bad Aletta, and this is a coral polish that actually is pretty deep, and it's kind of a more red pink than orange. So it's really bright. It's kind of not showing its true color because my camera's not quite picking it up. But the formula is great on this. This is the first coat, and it definitely could be a one coater. Pretty consistent with the last one, and I really like this formula a lot. And that's one coat, but I'm going to go ahead and do a second coat anyway. And that's 2 coats of She's a Bad Aletta. And I might be saying that name wrong, so sorry if I am. And now we have Suzie Nils New Orleans, and this is a Barbie pink. They always seem to come out with a Barbie pink with almost every collection. But I don't have anything that really compares to this in mine because I don't usually pick them up because I don't need a million bubble gum pinks. But here's the first coat. It covers pretty well. It looks like it's definitely going to need a second coat though because I can see my nail through it. And that's one coat, and then I'll apply the second coat. The formula is pretty good. It's a little thick. These brighter pink polishes always seem to be a little bit chalky, so the formula is not my favorite, but it's okay. It's not too bad. And I actually went back and did 3 coats of this polish. And that's Suzie Nils New Orleans. And the next is Got Myself into a Jambalaya, and this is a peachy toned pink, and it actually has maybe a little more orange than pink, but it's showing up a little more pink on camera. So this is the first coat, and the formula is pretty good. It's actually kind of a jelly formula slightly, and that's one coat, but I think it's definitely gonna need a second. And here's the second coat. I tried to do it a little thicker, so I maybe didn't have to do 3 coats, but it looks like you probably can't tell in the video, but you can still see the nail through it a little bit, which I'm a little disappointed about, but the color's really beautiful, so I might not mind doing 3 coats, but I ended up doing 3 coats. And that's 3 coats of Got Myself into a Jambalaya. And that's all 12 polishes. I was a little bit surprised at which ones ended up being my favorite. I thought Show Us Your Tips would probably be one of my favorites, but it actually wasn't. I really liked Rich Girls and Po Boys, and I don't wear blue that often, but that one was so pretty on. And I always go for the darker purples and pinks. So I loved Eye Manicure for Beads, Spare Me a French Quarter, and I actually really liked Got Myself into a Jambalaya, although it was 3 coats. I thought the color was pretty unique, and I didn't really have anything in my collection like that. And I should have pictures of comparisons of all these polishes up on my blog tomorrow. That should give you a good idea of how close they are to other polishes to see if you really need to purchase them or not, or if it's necessary. And I will put a link to that down in the description bar below, so you can check that out. I hope you found this helpful, and give me a thumbs up if you did. That would really help me out, and make sure you subscribe. That would help me out as well. So anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks. Bye.